Good morning, Zio here, and today we're talking World of Warcraft, the problems with WoW, the problems with Blizzard, all that good jazz. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It could be a few videos, who knows. Anyway, we're going to talk about it, so grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? And I've hit the wrong buttons. But before that, did you know I have a TikTok? Links are in the description down below to my social medias where I have quarters and all this other stuff. So you should go follow those things where we can do other things that are not just right here on this platform, whether it be YouTube or the YouTube or the Facebooks, the Fruit Labs or the YouTube. Wow. Anyway, let's talk World of Warcraft, shall we? There's a lot to say. This video is like the problem with people like Ion. I don't know why, but I don't think that's how Ian's supposed to be spelled for some reason in my mind. Every time I try to type it out, it's not that, but it is. Ian and other developers for World of Warcraft, among other things. And patch 9.1.5 is on its way out, or it just launched, one of the two. I don't quite remember because quite frankly I'm not subbed to the game anymore for various reasons. Anyway, there's not really a whole lot visual here to look at, so if you just want to listen, be my guest. We are going to have a few things just sitting here, just to be sitting here, of course, or over here, wherever it happens to be. But I want to talk about Torghast, right? This is going to be the main focal point of this video because, Ian and crew and stuff have kind of given up on Torghast at this point. I can't remember where I heard it from, and I can't remember the exact quote that came out of his mouth, unfortunately, but I heard it the past few days and was like, this is the problem with you and World of Warcraft and Blizzard right now, is they make a system, right? And then they abandon that system. When it doesn't go the way they want it to go, they abandon it because they've made these systems in a way that they're designed to do a specific thing. But players don't want to do that thing. So what exactly has Torghast been designed for? Well, Torghast, its main purpose is to get you soul ash, right? For your legendary armor and such. To get you ingredients for that legendary, that Lego, that legendary armor, which isn't so legendary these days, which is another problem with WoW, right? Legendary armor needs to be changed. It needs to be actually legendary again, instead of everybody automatically getting legendaries all the same time or doing very little work for legendaries, which drives me insane because they're not legendaries when you can walk outside of Ogrimmar and everybody has one on them. I'm sorry. That's another thing for we'll rant about that some other time. How's that? Anyway, Torghast, right? Torghast is supposed to be this endless dungeon kind of thing that you go in and you do, and it provides challenge and all this other stuff. And in addition to that, of course, you have to complete it to get things for your legendaries. And that's the problem. You have to complete it to get your stuff for legendaries. That's it. That's the big problem. That's the problem with every system in World of Warcraft right now, is the fact that you are forced to do it whether you want to or not, because it's tied to player power. And it drives me nuts. There should be no reason for any of this stuff to be tied to your player's power. They should be optional things that you want to do, but instead you trap players in a vicious loop of, I have to do this daily, or I have to do this weekly, or I fall behind everybody else. And that's exactly what they've done. So players naturally hate Torghast. Now, back when it was announced and all this other stuff, which it is not anything like it was originally conceived or sold to us, I made the comparison because that's exactly what it is. Final Fantasy XIV has the Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High. They are endless dungeons, essentially. Not really completely endless. There is a cap, but there is a very prestigious title and things if you do climb all 200 floors of Palace of the Dead solo, mind you, and actually can do it. But once you die, you that's it. That's game over, right? But yeah, so these things exist, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. WoW's doing its own version. That's going to be great. That's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then I was stuck doing it constantly. And then, of course, since it was time gated in the way that it was, I couldn't just blitz through it in a day or anything like that. I had to wait for the other floors to be released so I can then go continue my climb upward. And then I was in it twice, at least once a week. Well, once a week, yeah. I was in it twice, once a week, because you've got the upper and the lower floors of this thing, or at least that's what I always called it, even though that's not their actual names, that you had to go through and complete in order to get your soul ash, so you can then make your stupid legendary, so you can then have the ticket into the raid or the PvP group or whatever it is that the content that you actually want to do. Because the first thing they're going to ask is hey, you got your legendary? I don't see it on your character. Where is it? I need you to equip X legendary. If you ain't got it, we don't need you. I'm sorry. That sort of thing. Because that's how it's been every freaking expansion. Gosh, when the rings, of course, were out, it was like, if you don't have your ring, sorry, we're not taking you. You got your cloak? Yeah, sorry, we don't need you. We'll find somebody else, because these things were just handed out like candy. Anyway, again, going into the wrong thing, but that's the problem with Torghast and all these things. Torghast is amazing. Torghast is fun. It's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it for the first few weeks, right? And then it became a chore. After I was forced into it when I didn't want to be, it became a chore, and I was just like, I hate this. I don't want to be in this. And that's what a lot of people have issues with, but the developers don't seem to understand that. They can't wrap their heads around that sort of thing, right? It's like, well, our players don't seem to like this. Maybe it's too hard. No, it was fine. It needed to be harder. If anything, I soloed that shit with my balanced druid all the way up. No problems whatsoever, hardly, except for I think at one point, because I chose the wrong damn thing, that I ever really struggled with it. I had fun with that. I went through there and I did this earth root run, as I guess I called it, or would call it, where all I did was just take all the things for earth root and stuff, even though that was nowhere near a viable thing ever, because it was just fun to root everything and let it kill them. Root everything and let it kill them, because I buffed it up to an insane amount. That was fun. Being forced in there, not so much, right? But yeah, that's one of the biggest problems with World of Warcraft, is the fact that the entire player power behind it. Another example in recent memory, Island Expeditions. Who here enjoyed Island Expeditions when it first came out? I did. I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. There were definitely issues for Island Expeditions that needed to be fixed. We can get into that some other time. But at the same time, the concept, the idea, it was fun. The problem, you needed to grind Island Expeditions to get the stuff that you needed to make your character more powerful. It was the best way to do it for a good majority of the expansion. Yeah, that's where we failed, right? That's where the developers over at Blizzard fucked up. Because then everybody was forced into these Island Expeditions, and instead of becoming this fun thing that you may do to get like some pets or cosmetics or anything else like that, or just for fun, it became a chore, a grind, a thing you had to do in order to advance your character's player or your character's power in order to do the content you actually want it to do. That's a problem. Like right now, we could technically still have island expeditions. They could have pulled that out, a battle for Azeroth, took it back to Azeroth, right? And still had a thing where, there's some people in whatever capital or whatnot who's sitting there and their whole thing is, hey, we want to explore these islands. And then they just change it from Azerite to something else, right? Something that makes more sense, that will always be there kind of deal, where it's just more, I guess, to fit thematically, right, with the game. Maybe we're exploring these islands to set up, a base or something, right? And we need you to go and sort of wipe out the locals, right? The local monster population. Oh, and by the way, the other faction's going to be there, so watch your back, kind of deal, because they're going to be doing the same thing, and that's it. That's all the tweak it needed. And then, of course, you can add things, through patches, through expansions and all this other stuff to expand that to other things, and then it could be a thing that is always there that people can do for fun, that doesn't require you to do it for anything. But because it was tied behind player power, because the devs have no imagination whatsoever, in my opinion, at this point, to be able to even adapt content from an expansion that was designed specifically for that expansion to be accessible forever in the game, it's there and nobody knows what it is, right? Now, of course, anyone who experienced the content firsthand know exactly what it is. Anyone who's coming into the game right now, however, outside of going through Battle for Azeroth, if it's set as their default or whatnot, because they haven't gone elsewhere to do their 10 levels to 60, they probably don't even know the thing exists. And that's the weirdest thing, because there's so many systems out there that could be renovated, could be fixed, could be set up in a way that it becomes a lifelong thing for World of Warcraft. Like, did you know Pandora has farming? You might. Some of you may not. If you were not around for the Pandaran expansion, you probably have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. How cool would it be to have player housing, even though I keep saying that garrisons are not player housing, right? How cool would it be, and I want to revisit the player housing thing, by the way, in another video, maybe tomorrow. How cool would it be if they made player housing, right? However they go about doing it. And then they took the farming from Pandora and added it to that. So you've got your little homestead that you've bought, and you're having a lot of fun customizing and all this other stuff with it. And it's your little place, and right next to it are some plots of land for you to farm with. There you go. You've got everything you need in the game. The problem is, like I've said in the past, one, they're afraid of meaningful change at all whatsoever, and two, as I said in this video, they seem to lack the imagination to be able to bring something they've already done, that something's already in the game, and transplant it and maybe change a few things here and there and make it into a viable thing that can be there forever for players to do on their own if they want to do it, right? Because they have to tie everything for the most part behind something, whether it's advancing professions or advancing the player's power or whatever it is, it has to be tied to the player to make them stronger. And that's where one of the biggest issues are with World of Warcraft, if you ask me. Anyway, this one's gone on long enough. Torghast, again, amazing thing. I think Ian and the crew are freaking idiots because of how they've been handling it, instead of doing it justice like it should have been done in the first place. And now, because, maybe we should just do a video talking about how devs like to blame everybody else except for themselves. Because that's a thing too. The Blizzard developers love to blame anything else, where, when it comes to talent and stuff like that, they rather blame things like Wowhead or Icy Veins or anything else, or YouTube videos as to why they can't do anything meaningful with talents, because they're, again, lack the imagination to properly do it. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya.